All right, buckle up, everybody, because today's deep dive is going to be a wild ride. We're heading straight into the heart of Hollywood. And let me tell you, this story's got more twists and turns than your average blockbuster.
Sounds juicy. What have we got?
Well, it all started with the CBS News article about a lawsuit. And let me tell you, this thing reads like a movie script itself.
Okay, you got my attention. Lay it on me. Who's suing who, and what's the drama all about?
All right, so picture this Justin Baldoni, a guy from Jane the Virgin, and the director of 5 Feet Apart is filing a lawsuit against, wait for it, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds.
No way. Okay, that's some serious star power. What's the lawsuit about? Another contract dispute.
Oh, it goes way beyond that. This case is a tangled web of accusations, countersuits, and enough drama to fuel a whole season of a reality TV show.
All right, I'm hooked. Break it down for me. What's the core issue here?
Well, the whole thing is tied to their new film, It Ends With Us. And to really understand what's going on, we need to start with Lively's initial allegations against Baldoni.
Okay, what's she alleging?
She's claiming that he sexually harassed her on the set of the film.
Whoa, that's a serious accusation. What happened next?
Well, according to the article, Lively and Reynolds tried to address these concerns with Baldoni and the studio, but instead of finding a resolution, Lively says they were met with a multi-tiered plan aimed at damaging her reputation.
A multi-tiered plan. That sounds pretty sinister. Is there any evidence to back up that claim?
Well, there is this one piece of evidence that's raising eyebrows. It's an alleged text message mentioned in Lively's complaint. It supposedly came from someone connected to Baldoni. And get a load of this, the text reads, "We can't write, we will destroy her."
Yikes. If that text is legit, that's pretty damning.
Yeah, it's definitely got people talking. So you've got Lively alleging harassment and a cover-up, but Baldoni isn't staying quiet. He's filed a countersuit.
He's fighting back. What's his side of the story?
He's flat out denying Lively's accusations, calling them completely false. He's claiming that it's Lively, Reynolds, and their publicists who are actually orchestrating a smear campaign against him.
So it's a complete role reversal. He's saying they're the ones trying to take him down.
Exactly. It's like a crazy game of who's playing who here in Hollywood.
This is getting more and more intriguing by the minute. What exactly is Baldoni claiming they did?
Well, he's alleging that Lively's accusations are all based on, and I quote, grossly edited and doctored information, specifically meant to paint him in a negative light.
So he's saying they're manipulating the narrative to make him look bad.
Exactly. And he claims that all this supposed manipulation forced him to file this lawsuit just to salvage his own reputation.
It's a classic he said, she said situation, but with a Hollywood twist and a whole lot of money on the line.
Oh, and the plot thickens. After Lively filed her initial complaint, guess what happened?
What? Don't leave me hanging.
The talent agency WME, one of the biggest in Hollywood, dropped Baldoni as a client.
Wow, that's a huge deal. Being dropped by a top agency like WME can have a serious impact on an actor's career.
You said it. It really highlights the power dynamics at play in Hollywood. You've got these huge stars with their reputations and careers potentially on the line, battling it out in the public eye. It's a total mess.
And this whole situation is really raising some tough questions about how allegations like this are handled in the industry.
Yeah, and how do you even begin to untangle the truth when you've got these wildly different accounts of what happened? It's like trying to solve a puzzle with half the pieces missing.
And the stakes are incredibly high. We're not just talking about bruised egos here. This lawsuit could have major, lasting consequences for everyone involved.
Okay, so for our listener, we've just scratched the surface of this Hollywood showdown. We've got Lively's allegations, Baldoni's countersuit, and enough intrigue to keep us all on the edge of our seats. But there's so much more to unpack here. Okay, so we left off with Baldoni basically saying that Lively and Reynolds are the ones running the smear campaign against him.
Right, and he doesn't just point the finger at them. He specifically claims they were working with his former publicist, Stephanie Jones.
Hold on, his former publicist. That's interesting. Why would she be involved in all this?
Well, according to Baldoni's lawsuit, Jones had a bit of a grudge against him because his current publicist, Jennifer Abel, used to work for Jones, but left to start her own firm.
So there's some professional rivalry mixed in with this whole Hollywood drama.
Yeah, it adds another layer of complexity to the story. Baldoni's claiming that Jones, because of this resentment, teamed up with Lively, Reynolds, and their publicist, Leslie Sloan, to try and dig up dirt on him.
Okay, this is starting to sound like a soap opera. So what did they actually do to try and smear Baldoni? What specifics did he outline in the lawsuit?
Well, he claims they got access to Abel's phone and basically went through it, looking for anything that could be used against him.
So they were like digging through her messages, trying to find something incriminating.
That's what he's alleging. He's saying they were taking things out of context, twisting information to create this negative narrative about him.
If that's true, it raises a lot of questions. First of all, is there any evidence that they actually accessed his publicist's phone without her permission? And assuming Baldoni's claims are true, what would their motive even be?
Those are the million-dollar questions. And those are exactly the things the court will have to figure out. As for their possible motives, Baldoni suggests that maybe Lively and Reynolds were trying to protect their own reputations, especially given the film's sensitive subject matter.
Yeah, that makes sense. If someone's accused of something like sexual harassment, anyone associated with them, especially on a project like It Ends With Us that deals with these serious themes, their image could be tarnished and the film might suffer.
Exactly. And remember, this film is a passion project for Lively. She's been attached to it for years, and it's her directorial debut. So the stakes are incredibly high for her.
It's interesting that Baldoni specifically says in the lawsuit that he and the other plaintiffs didn't want to file this suit, but that Lively's actions basically forced them to.
Yeah, he's painting himself as the reluctant participant in all this legal drama. He's saying they had no other choice but to go to court to defend themselves and try to clear their names.
So he's trying to frame it as a necessary step to set the record straight. But it also brings up all these other questions about due process and, are we supposed to just automatically assume someone's guilty based on an accusation alone?
It's a valid concern. This case really highlights how tricky it can be to balance supporting those who come forward with allegations while also upholding the principle of innocent until proven guilty.
It's a tough situation, especially with social media amplifying everything so quickly. It often feels like public opinion forms way faster than any actual legal process can play out.
Absolutely. It's easy to get caught up in the narratives and opinions you see online, but we have to remember there are always two sides to every story. In a case like this, where we're still learning details and there are conflicting accounts, it's really important to avoid rushing to judgment.
It feels like we as a society are still figuring out how to navigate these complex situations fairly and responsibly.
And the outcome of this case could really impact how these situations are dealt with in the future, not just in Hollywood, but in other industries too.
Now, before we move on to the potential fallout for everyone involved, let's go back to that incriminating text message for a second. Do we know who actually sent it? And how much weight could it carry in the legal proceedings?
That's one of the biggest mysteries in this whole saga. If that text message is really authentic and can be directly linked to Baldoni or his team, it could be a serious blow to his case.
But Baldoni's whole argument hinges on Lively and Reynolds manipulating information to make him look bad. So could they have fabricated that text or doctored it somehow?
That's definitely a possibility, and I'm sure Baldoni's lawyers will be investigating that angle. But Lively's team will need to prove where that message came from and that it hasn't been tampered with. This might involve looking at digital records and communications from everyone involved.
It's like a puzzle where we're still missing crucial pieces, and it'll be interesting to see how everything unfolds in court.
It's definitely shaping up to be a captivating legal drama, and the outcome could have some serious repercussions for everyone involved.
Okay, so for our listeners, we've really dug into the claims and counterclaims here, the tangled relationships, and the possible motives at play. We've talked about due process, cancel culture, and the power of public opinion. But at its core, this case is about so much more than just who's right and who's wrong. It's about the potential damage to careers, reputations, and even the film itself. So let's shift gears now and talk about what's really at stake for everyone involved. All right, welcome back to our deep dive into this crazy Hollywood legal battle. We've covered the allegations, the countersuit, and all the messy details, but now I want to talk about what this all means for those involved.
Yeah, the potential fallout here is huge, both professionally and personally. This lawsuit could have a ripple effect on their careers, reputations, and even the film itself. It Ends With Us.
Let's start with the film. It Ends With Us, as we know, tackles these heavy themes of domestic violence and emotional abuse. So how do you think this very public, very messy fight is going to influence how people interpret that message?
Well, it definitely adds like an extra layer, right? You can't ignore it. The film explores toxic relationships and power dynamics, and now you've got this real-life drama unfolding that kind of mirrors those themes. It's unsettling.
Yeah, that line between fiction and reality is definitely blurred here.
It makes you think about how we separate the art from the artist. especially when their personal life seems to contradict the message of their work.
It's the age-old question, right? Do we boycott the art because of the artist? Or do we try to appreciate it on its own, separate from their personal life?
There are no easy answers. In this case, with its sensitive subject matter, just makes it that much more complicated.
Absolutely. And then, of course, there's the potential damage to their careers and reputations. We're talking about big names here, Lively and Baldoni, who've worked hard to get where they are.
Hollywood is tough, especially after the #MeToo movement. Even if someone is cleared of any wrongdoing, just the shadow of an accusation can linger. It can affect their ability to get future work, to be seen as bankable.
And it's not just their work lives being impacted, their personal lives are thrust into the spotlight, subject to all kinds of scrutiny and speculation.
It's easy to forget sometimes that celebrities are real people, with families and lives outside of Hollywood. The emotional toll of this kind of public attention can be immense.
Absolutely, it's important to remember the human side of things.
This case also shines a light on the media's role in shaping public opinion. These allegations are everywhere, splashed across headlines, dissected on social media. Is the media playing a fair and balanced role here, do you think?
It's a good question. I mean, the media has a responsibility to report on these kinds of stories, but it needs to be done responsibly. No sensationalizing, no jumping to conclusions before all the facts are in.
Exactly. It's a tightrope walk. Keep the public informed, yes, but don't contribute to a potentially damaging narrative before anyone's had a chance to defend themselves.
And we can't forget, this is still an ongoing legal battle. There's so much we don't know yet.
Absolutely. We don't know for sure who sent that text message or what evidence each side will bring to the table. It's all still unfolding.
It's up to the courts to decide the outcome ultimately, but the court of public opinion is already in session.
And that's a powerful force, one that's hard to control. Once a narrative takes root, it can be tough to change, even if new evidence comes to light.
So for everyone listening, we've really gone deep into this Hollywood saga, haven't we? We've looked at the accusations, the counterclaims, the motives, and the potential impact. It's a messy situation full of twists and turns, and it's far from over. But as we wait to see how it all plays out in court, let's not forget that at the heart of it all, there are real people whose lives and careers are on the line.
And as we wrap up this deep dive, I think it's a good reminder for us all, not just in Hollywood, but in every aspect of life, to be mindful of how we treat each other. This case, with all its he said, she said complexities, really highlights the importance of fostering a culture of respect and accountability.
That's a really powerful takeaway. Clear communication, healthy boundaries, treating each other with respect. Those are values we should all be striving for.
It's a reminder that our words and actions have consequences. It's on us to create environments where everyone feels safe, respected, and empowered to speak up.
Well said. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. We'll definitely keep you updated as this story continues to unfold. And as always, we encourage you to stay informed, have those important conversations, and form your own conclusions based on the facts as they emerge.